How do you feel about taking on dating again?
Ooh.
I know you
Oh.
can feel it right then. You're like, oh, that's why this course exists. Right there.
Nice,
That.
nicely turned it around, Jennifer. Let's start this here. And I'm turning red, but I'm dealing with it. So this is episode 2 of our love session talks, Hungry for More with Jennifer and Patricia, by the way. And we are just talking about what are we talking about today in this session? Because the original plan that we are having is like, yeah, a little bit
It's
of
so
drag.
heavy. It's so psychology based. And that's the thing is like the whole reason I created this very completely different approach to romance is
Yeah.
because what's out there, let me give it this way. If you are looking at psychology versus what I've created, which is based on neuroscience and biochemistry, that's the difference of looking at a car accident and going, oh my gosh, I was in a relationship, I got crushed, I got hurt, I don't ever want to do this again.
Mm.
Psychology looks at it and goes, well, where was the road? What was his inner child? What happened? Where was he shopping? Like it's like everything that is not the actual impact, where
Mm.
neuroscience is looking at it going, what was going on the deepest level, cellular level, that made the person decide to do this before it even got to emotion? And what about that can we reframe instead of studying it? Like it was my mom, it was my dad, it was all this stuff. What about that is the best that we can optimize to get the best experience next time you drive? As opposed to
Mm.
who are we going to blame? Whose insurance are we going to bill? Does that make sense? It's like, yeah, you're always
Yeah.
going to find something wrong. Our reticular activating system in our brain, it looks for what we tell it to look for. If I told you right now, don't look down and I'll give you $100, you know what you're going to
Yeah.
do? You're going to look down. It's
Yeah.
going to happen. If I said, don't look down or you will die, do you know what you're going to do? You're going to look down. In
Yeah.
most scenarios, whether it's a reward or a pain, you are going to do what you say don't do. So if you say, don't get the guy with red flags again, guess what you're going to find? The red flags.
Yeah.
Don't do that thing of my attachment and my inner with my mom or dad issues again. Do better this time. Don't do that. Guess what you're going to do? The same crap. That's how
And
our brain
yeah,
works.
but for me, I think I'm still at the stage where I'm like, I know that there are patterns, but I wouldn't even recognize them.
And that's such a good point. And that is what's in addition to the other things. That is what's different about this. You don't
Yeah.
have to know the patterns. Like, so one of the things that I built out in this course is a dating roadmap. And with the dating roadmap, and this is every woman, no matter what you are, if you're A on that relationship quiz, B or C, every
Hmm.
single woman, when she was little, had this biochemically, biologically, this energy of, I want to be full play everything. I want to be able to be muddy and boots and beautiful and elegant. She was everything. And
And
slowly,
Princess.
yeah, all the things. Even if she wanted to be a princess with the boots, with the everything, you know what I mean? She was not contained yet. She was not restrained yet. And
Mm.
little by little, when she would say, I'm hurt, she heard, no, you're not. I'm hungry.
Yeah.
You're fine. You know, she was silenced and suppressed and separated from her intuition and her voice. That's not trauma. That's not red flag, green flag. That's literally a separation from your biochemicals processes, your neurotransmitter processes, your intuition, your nervous
Yeah.
system as a child. And now we're going to add to that, hey, this is a person who I feel romantically about, and I'm going to let them inside my actual body
Mm.
well, I don't even know how to trust my own voice. And I'm exhausted because every time I do, I don't have a framework to make sure that I'm knowing how to only receive in, only allow in what I want to multiply. She was not given a framework of knowing what she wants optimally, only negatively.
Yeah.
I mean, even in romance movies, what do we see? It's like
Yeah.
the people that are promoted are the people that were chaos and high highs and low lows and all this stuff. And then he comes in last minute and he's broken her heart like 5 times by the time we get to it. And we're all cheering because then he comes in
Yeah.
and gets it together. She went through hell, dude. You know what I mean? To get to that point. And I was writing content for our conversation about psychology versus neuroscience regarding relationships. And one of the things that I was thinking about was in the past few generations, how did we end up where we are now? Like, how is it that anthropologically men and women have gotten together, stayed together, and had long-term relationships? without knowing any of the stuff. Like you said, pattern recognition. They didn't have any of that. They didn't
Yeah.
have courses. They didn't have pattern recognition. They didn't have all this psychology. They didn't have Carl Jung and Freud. How were they doing this? And I
Yeah.
thought about two main factors that we in this generation are facing that did not exist even 100 years ago. Number one, most of us grew up as latchkey kids.
Yeah.
Mom and dad both work. That's not trauma. That's not red flags. That's not attachment issues. That's just true. We did not see conflict resolution day to day because that was not available for us to see it modeled.
Mm.
In past generations, you saw a mother figure and a father figure, and they were working it out even through world wars, even through famine. They were making it work. You saw conflict resolution. We didn't see conflict resolution for us to have that blueprint. What we did
Yeah.
see was high highs on sitcoms and movies of how to have a date. That's it.
And I mean, Walt Disney movies.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Same thing. We
Yeah.
only saw the framework and blueprints of how to have the highest, best, most chemistry moments. We
Yeah.
never had the framework or blueprints of how a relationship actually makes it through the hard. And those are the relationships that last. If you look at your friendships, the relationships that make it through the hard, those are the ones that you have long term. It's how do you get through the hard together? We never got
Yeah.
a framework or blueprint.
And hard doesn't even have to be hard. It can be everyday life hard.
It can be who's doing the dishes.
Yeah.
Most
Boredom.
arguments and most divorces have nothing to do with whether or not they can have a romantic date.
Yeah.
It's how do they deal with the feminine energy and masculine energy in the home and delegation of running a business. Running the home is running a business.
Yeah.
It's input, output. It's money in, money out, it's all these things. And we don't see that as a framework, and we're not taught that because of that. And then the other big thing is we're taught way too many tools about our emotions and connecting our emotions and connecting patterns and finding the trauma, but we're not taught tools about how to have resilience and look for the best. And I don't mean that in gaslighting. I really don't.
Mhm. Yeah.
But our nervous system is constantly scanning for what's wrong in order for us just to survive. We are.
Yeah.
We're not taught how to scan for what's good. So when it comes to even romantic relationships, we're being taught, okay, here's all this information about your mom issues and your dad issues. So you can hyper scan and hyper vigilantly make sure not to repeat that. And then our reticular activating system is saying, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, avoid that, red flag. And guess what you end up with? The same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And we're taught constantly scan for be your best self, be your best self. Well, I don't want to be in a relationship where I have to be my best self. And I don't want to hold the standard with him that he has to be his best self. I mean,
Yeah.
truly, if we were to sit down and say, magic wand, dream world, what kind of relationship do you want? I want the person where on my worst day, I'm able to come home and be held. I
Yeah.
want the person where when I cry or when I scream or when I lose my crap, they understand how to walk with me through that. Not because I'm allowed to be abusive, not because they're allowed to be abusive, because we're humans having a human experience.
Yeah.
And yet
And
what's
it
available
also,
out there is the optimization of every relationship possibility in yourself.
and what you said about walking with me through it, for me, it also means like they don't have to solve my shit for me. Already that witnessing would be more than enough, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
when I've talked to patients about this, and I actually talked about this in my online private community the other day with women, and I said, and this goes back to we're not taught how a man's brain works versus a woman's, and that's not pattern recognition. That's not red flag, green flag. This was anthropologically understood. A man thinks and processes different than a woman. That was understood. A man's brain, just as a side note, they have very forward backward, like left hemisphere, right hemisphere, right hemisphere. Women have interactivity between the hemispheres. So when a woman walks in a house, she's scanning everything to make sure she's safe and constantly scanning. The man walks in, he goes, I want a cup. There's a cup. And then the woman's like, didn't you see the mess? No, he literally didn't see the mess. And so then there's an argument. Well, I saw the mess. Why didn't you see the mess? I feel like you don't listen to me. Well, what do you want me to say? I shouldn't have to tell you what to say.
Yeah.
He literally doesn't know what to say when he says that, by the way, because he's this. I saw a cup. Now you want me to say something? Tell me what to say. Like, he is mission driven. You have to give him a mission. And these are simple foundational things that I teach in the Hungry for More of. This is the standard. This is the norm. You don't have to look for patterns. Here's your blueprint. If you just knew
Yeah.
this about you and you knew this about him, that's it. That's all you need to know. That you guys are two separate creatures and you process it differently. But I asked them an additional question going back to that friendship thing that you said. And I said, what happens is over time, that relationship that began with these high highs, we had a great date. It was amazing. We're going to date two. That's how we're taught to date, which is why it's very different in very differently in the Hungry for More. You have a dating roadmap that teaches you so differently. But they do this and it's high, 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 high. And then the woman opens herself up emotionally, physically, sexually. And he has not gone through the steps to prove he's consistent and he actually cares for her and he wants to stay there and he's attached.
Mm.
Because of that, then when they do have an argument, every relationship has an argument, she processes that argument so differently than she would with her friends. If her friend said, what do you want me to say? I don't know what to say. She would say, well, I'd like you to say, da, 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 fill in the blank. She would give grace,
Yeah.
a tending and befriending of her nervous system, because women have, in addition to fight, flight, freeze, and fawning, they have tend and befriend. She would
Yeah.
do that. With a man, she immediately goes to, he doesn't know what to say, so he must be a threat. He must not care. What is the threat? And then she's scanning for a threat.
Yeah.
So the grace and way that we walk with a friend is completely different than how we experience and walk with in conversations and communication and arguments and disconnection, whatever you might want to call it, disagreements with a man. And yet those foundational ways of how to do that are not taught. What's taught is look for what's wrong with him, look for what's wrong with you. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
Find what's wrong. And you're going to keep finding what's wrong. None of us
Yeah.
do it, dude.
And it's, I mean, and now that we talk so much about relationships and dating and Hungry for More, guess what? My social media algorithm is listening and gives me all these weird influencers out there in my algorithm and feeds me these weird posts. And there was such a good one today where it's a guy who lists 5 controversial things that are obvious for women, men should do while dating or in a relationship, and they are apparently clueless. So it's very cleverly made, very cleverly written. And it's like she asked nicely, or she assumed that he should know how to behave in those things. Then she's asking nicely, and then at one point she starts yelling, right?
I didn't have these tools and framework years ago when I was married. And then when I personally went out into starting dating, I had a bunch of tools, psychology, brain pattern recognition, all of that, but I didn't have these tools of looking at it through the lens of neuroscience and biochemistry before you even look at any psychology. And since then, it's changed how I approach relationships, obviously, wrote a course about it. That's what we're talking about. But one of the things is that conflict resolution. And I've had a bunch of really great conversations with my friends about that. And I had a really good conversation the other day, even with my daughter about it. And she's in this starting age of she's elementary school, the starting age of ooh, he likes me, ooh, he likes her, ooh, whatever, and working it out. And having those conversations about a man is very mission minded. He's not left brain, right brain connecting, he's
Yeah.
forward, backward, mission minded. And so having those conversations in a way where it's not telling him what to do, it's telling him you trust him to do the thing. If you tell him what to do, that's not a mission. That's a directive and you're his authority now. And not that you can't be. I mean, if that's the relationship you want, you can put yourself in masculine energy. You can.
Yeah.
Stay in masculine energy. Because any man who wants that wants you in masculine, and he will be the man that in months or years later goes, well, what do you want to eat? Well, what do you think we should do? And that gets old when you're a woman. It really does. It gets really old and exhausting. So if you want to have a man make a decision and do the things that you want him to do, you put it in a state of trust by saying, I trust you do this. Or in conversations where he says, hey, I don't know what to do about that. Here, I'm going to write down 2 or 3 things that I would love if you would do. And I trust you to look it over, think about what's best for you, and we'll go with that. And then as he chooses to do those things, allowing him to lead, allowing him to be in that masculine energy, even if it's not exactly what you want. And this goes back to that learning within your nervous system, learning within your neural pathways, what it is to trust and release control. And we do that with friends. If you said, hey, your friend said, I don't know where you want to go to eat or whatever. Okay, well, here are 2 or 3 places to think about. And next time we hang out, you can choose a place. She might choose a place that you absolutely hate or don't like or, mediocre about, but you're still going to go. It's your friend. You're like, it's okay. It's not my favorite. That's cool. Thank you for doing this. Thank you
Yeah.
for. And yet when it comes to a man, we immediately get offended and go, he didn't listen to what I wanted. He didn't do it the way I wanted. He doesn't care about me. And the reason goes back to neuroscience, biochemistry. You're not having sex with your friend at the end of the day and letting them in your body, which is a very vulnerable thing. You are, however, letting this man into your body. That's why
Yeah.
the stakes are higher. And that's why the trust gets broken and the depletion happens so much more with a romantic relationship than with friendship. But to restore that doesn't mean you have to know all the red flags. It doesn't mean you have to find the perfect person or be the perfect person. It means you understanding I'm safe even if they're not doing it the way I want.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a double-edged sword, I think, what you're saying. I totally hear you when you say confidence and trust. No, now I mixed it up. Safety and trust. But this also means that I need to have the confidence to be trusting and to feel safe.
And that right there is why with the dating roadmap, every single step builds that in you. And then there's
Mm,
also the 4 pillar system in Hungry for More. Pillar 1 builds back your cell voltage, your energy, big body movements, helping you get back in your body. You're not going to get back in your body by finding crap. Finding crap,
mm,
more afraid and more afraid and more afraid. The fastest way to shift into healthy is embodiment of being in your body with big body movements. We see this with other mammals in nature. If they are threatened by a predator and prey, and they're threatened by a big predator, they will play dead, they shut down, and afterwards they do big body movements, shake their body, shake it off, come back, and then they go again. They're not carrying inner trauma from 2 generations ago or even yesterday. They do big
mm,
body movements. So pillar 1 increases your cell voltage, your energy, big body movements, get you back in your body for you to be in this place of like, wow, I'm here, I'm online, let's go. Then after that, pillar 2 is when we then are working on reprogramming the cells. How do they function? And it's really, really fast of reprogramming things of how they function to optimize, like an iOS update. It's again, we're not looking for trauma. This is how I process it. What's the optimized version that uses less energy? Pillar 3 is cell-to-cell communication, optimizing hormones, whether you're, menstruating, perimenopausal, menopausal, postmenopausal. And then that's when we start that conversation of biochemically, what is the feminine energy and what's masculine? Because most of
mm.
what's taught about feminine is put on a fake smile and be spiritual.
Be
Yes,
nice.
you'd be nice. Or the exact opposite. I'm a boss babe. I'm supposed to be receiving. Give me more. Let's get it. And
Mm,
neither's true. And so what is actual feminine energy? And feminine energy is discernment and wisdom.
mm,
Masculine energy, and I lay it out more, but masculine energy is performing to multiply what he puts out there. Whatever he puts out there. That's why men are performance. That's why they're competitive. Whatever he puts out there, he wants to multiply it. He wants to make his dominion, his power. You know what I mean? He wants to multiply it. Feminine energy is multiplying as well, but she learns the discernment and wisdom through Hungry for More of asking, is this an energy I want to multiply? Is the way he's treating me something I would want to multiply?
mm,
Is the way he's showing up something I would want multiplied? Not is this good? Not is this bad? Not is this red flag or green flag? Is this something I want multiplying in my life?
mm,
So
mm.
that conversation begins then. Then pillar 4 is when we're getting into relationships and all of that. And we're talking about relationships throughout the whole thing. You have the dating roadmap throughout the whole thing. You have a bunch of things that are like that throughout the whole thing. But it positions it in a way where you're not depleted. You have clear optimization of things. And when you're showing up in relationships, you're not in this looping pattern of trying to find what's wrong or trying to fix
Mhm.
yourself or trying to find why you don't think you're worthy or why mom or dad didn't treat you right or the last really. you're immediately in your body optimizing who you are as a person and your voice. And then the dating roadmap, every single step is you practicing that discernment, whether or
Mm.
not he is showing up in this way that, according to that roadmap, is proving that he is stable, he is consistent, his priorities, if they match yours or not, and if this is something that you want multiplied. Yeah.
I mean, you alluded, or we alluded it throughout this conversation a little bit about those, about the quiz, the three
Oh
types you
yeah,
can be.
yeah.
So there's I think everybody will recognize themselves in one of them at one stage in their life, right? So don't be ashamed, although it's very uncomfortable a little bit. At one point, we were all exhausted, resigned, and closed, and be like, "Why do I even need a man?" Right?
Mhm.
I think that's something we discussed in this episode, and also in the first episode already. And then there's the another persona who's like maybe newly divorced and just ready for a new relationship.
That
I
was
don't
me.
want to
I've been both of
say
those. Like you said, you're probably more than one at one time in your life. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it's but there's this nuance of me, is she desperate for a man? Probably,
Mm.
maybe all three of them. I forgot how you called number C, by the way, if you can help me out there.
Yeah, so the quiz is, I based it based on what's going on deeper than your nervous system. Because
Hmm.
before we get to our nervous system, we're working with our mitochondria, our ATP, our actual energy. And so it doesn't matter how great this relationship book is, any relationship, book, course, whatever. It doesn't matter how great it is, post, if you don't have the energy to see it through. You can get the most amazing guy, but if the second you guys have an argument, you already metabolically, energetically are depleted, you're out. You're out. You just are. You don't have the energy to keep going. And so this quiz is made where when you look at it, there's A, B, and C, but you can see also not just how that shows up in relationships romantically, but also physically. It's showing up in whether it's like constipation or thyroid issues or, I mean, whatever it may be, because they reflect each other because the thing that you're seeing physical is beginning nervous system. And before it's nervous system, it's biochemical neurotransmitters. Before it's biochemical neurotransmitters, it's literally your metabolic health and your mitochondria, your ATP, your energy resources. Essentially, every single cell in your body is always asking this question: is the juice worth the squeeze? Yeah. And so if the juice is not worth the squeeze, it doesn't matter how hot that guy is, it doesn't matter how great that relationship could be, potentially your every single cell of your body is going, is the juice worth the squeeze? And so
Yeah.
person A is the person who they're the most over it. They just are. They're just like, you know what, even if that dude showed up, what? I've got this. My life is stable. I've got this. I really don't need to add in any more variables because variables, what they learned was variables equal energy loss. I
Yeah.
got me, I'm my backup, and my backup for my backup is me. Like I'm me, That's
Yeah.
and
Maybe let's get another dog or a cat, but that's it.
yes, 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 because they didn't learn to really trust that people coming in are going to have their back. And
Mm.
that's just like such a like I start crying when I say that, but it's such a heart-wrenching place. I was there in my marriage. When
Yeah.
I got divorced, what was like, I was the mom, I was the dad, I was everything. I was
Mm.
everything. And so the ideal of like trusting a person again when I was so depleted was a horrible feeling. And then years later, got divorced, went through separation and divorce and all that. And then I was I think it's person B, um, where she was just ready to go. She was like ready and bearing. Oh no, that's person C. She was ready to go. I was like, you know what? I lost that potato sack. I'm fine. I've got this. I don't need any help. I just needed to just get rid of the potato sack and then I'm gonna be good and I'm gonna have the perfect relationship and I'm gonna have this amazing epic love and let's go. Yeah. And I had no discernment or breaks. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I was just open heart, just
Mhm. Mhm.
yes. I love life and I'm so excited for this new life and it's going to be great and no discernment or breaks. And that's actually person C. And then there's person B, and that's the person who like toggles back and forth, They're like
Mm.
in between, metabolically, relationship, health-wise. Um, And so it's a fantastic quiz. I would say everybody try it, see. You're probably going to find that you are a combination because we all have this ebb and flow throughout our life of what we've experienced in relationships.
Yeah.
We're in our 30s, 40s, 50s. We're not like spring chickens, so to speak, you know? And so we kind of will be like, ooh, I remember that kind of resonates, you know? But it really helps us have a lot more clarity before we get to all, I mean, it's a free quiz, you know, but before we even get to all these things that are like red flag, green flag, you know, the 10 quick tips or all the things you need to fix about yourself, just where are you? Like, where are you right now? Like you within your body, how are you processing energetically, metabolically, romantic relationships? Like that's such a
Mm.
foundational question. And that relationship quiz helps with that. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And those quizzes are always fun, right? We love those
That's
quizzes.
actually why I wrote it. I was like, you know what? I'm a sucker for like wanting to take like which Disney princess are you? Or like the dumbest things. You're like, which mushroom are you? I'm like, I don't know which mushroom I am. I would love to know which mushroom I
But
am.
I want to know. Now I want to know. I need to know.
Yes. Yeah. They're super fun though. And because even if honestly, even if it's wrong, I like being able to analyze the data because that's what I do, pattern recognition and analysis, you know, data analysis. So I love being able to like analyze the data of all of it, but it's super fun. Hmm.
Yeah, so now that this entire recording or episode goes into the attraction, no, direction that we're not planning. So let me go through my arsenal of questions I still have. Um, Yeah, it's actually a good question because I'm still sitting with that angle of being so desperate to get a man, you know. I mean, yeah, sadly we've all been there, right? Where you're like, I'm so ready for it. I really need a man, and then guess what happens? You just repeat your own patterns again, right? The reticular activation system you mentioned already. So, maybe that's a good question, though. So, what surprised you most about your own life once you stopped seeking validation in relationships?
You know, it's such a great question. I don't think my process was honestly ever seeking validation in relationships. It was, I use the truck battery analogy. So
Okay.
some people are double A batteries, some people are C batteries, some people are D batteries, some people are truck batteries. And my thought process, ever since I was little, I mean like 16 years old when I started dating, is I have this massive energy and I just want to share it with someone. And
Mm,
so it wasn't a seeking a relationship for validation. It was seeking a fellow container. So, oh my Christ, saying that. It was like seeking a fellow container space who wanted to multiply that. And I
mm,
didn't even know how to articulate that. So what my challenge, a huge challenge I had was here I am someone who I have big energy. People meet me in person, like, how are you only 5'3"? I thought you were, and I'm like, I just got big energy, small package. You know what I mean? And so I have this massive big energy and I love life. And I'm the first person who's like, yeah, let's go try it. What if you hate it? I don't care. Street food, you know, tacos, whatever. I want to try everything. I want to do everything. And I have that fullness when it comes to relationships. I wanted that fullness. And I
mm,
didn't know how to have the discernment and wisdom to slow down and have him prove that he wants that, not that he just likes that I do, not that he
mm,
just wants to latch on and I become his high high. So what would happen
mm,
is I would have this big fullness, this like vivacious energy. I walk in a room and everybody looks, you know what I mean? I get it from my mom. I just big energy, dude, good and bad. And these men would go, wow, I can't keep my eyes off you. I'm so captivated by you. I just want to hang out with you. And I would hear that as, great, you're a good match. No, they wanted to have what I have because they wanted to have like an ownership of it. Does that make sense? Like a pretty little
mm.
trophy, like a pretty little doll. But they were not that same capacity. So I was
Yeah,
a battery that kept getting drained. So what's
yeah.
that my issue for me at least was that I wanted validation in a relationship. I wanted the same voltage in a relationship.
Mm,
And I didn't
mm,
have the discernment to go, yeah, I am big energy. Make sure to go slowly and have him show me that he's consistently the same capacity of voltage and big energy. I didn't have that framework until I made this framework, which is why I offer it now. Um, And when that happened, one of the funniest things that happened um, is my love, when we first started talking, and I used this framework by that time when I was dating. And it was one of our first phone conversations because we do phone conversations before we do anything in person. Super important, by the way. It's in the dating roadmap. And we were on our phone conversation. And all the guys, by the way, you become catnip. They're like, well, what if we just meet? What if we see if we have chemistry? I'm like, it doesn't matter if we have chemistry if the logistics don't work, which is also part of the dating roadmap. You need it. Okay. And so we're on phone conversation. And he said something that was so clear to me. He said, well, I really like our conversations, and so I hope I don't annoy you, but I'm going to be texting a lot. At least my friends say a lot. I said, what do you mean by a lot? And he's like, I just love sharing reels and memes and funny things because I love laughing. And I was like, I didn't say anything, but behind the scenes, I was like, me too. And I just thought, oh, I love
Oh,
this. I'm so excited because I do. Even with my friends and everybody, I just like sharing reels and memes and even songs that I'm just listening to, even if it has nothing to do with them. It's just fun. I just love it. And and here was this man who had ownership that even though he even said, my friends make fun of me because they say I come on too strong. That was his exact words.
oh,
And I said, because he was, slowly in the conversation saying, I'm going to do this. Also, my friends make fun of me. And so I told him what I'm about to say right now. I don't think it's that, at least to me, I don't know you yet, but it doesn't sound like you come on too strong. Maybe you do, but it does sound like a battery issue. And he said, what do you mean? He's a nuclear engineer. So it actually worked out well for his language too. But I said, it's a battery issue. He said, what do you mean? And I said, there are AA batteries, AAA batteries, C batteries and truck batteries. And I said, it sounds like you're a truck battery and you just haven't found your truck battery where you have a big
mm,
capacity. And he said, I've never heard of it like that. And I swear I could like feel his whole heart melt through the phone.
mm,
It was finally permission to be the fullness of who he is,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah. So
It
I know I
reminds
didn't,
me,
what'd you say?
yeah, I'm watching a lot of TV these days, and on Amazon Prime, they just have Charlie's Angels for free. And there's that one scene where Cameron Diaz as Natalie is dating that or having the first date with that one guy, and they go dancing in that dance club. And or no, they are about to dance, and he's asking her out on that first date, and he's asking, "How about Thursday?" And she's like, "Oh, I love Thursdays. I get us ticket." And she's like, "Oh, I love tickets." And then the other angels in the background is like, "Oh, finally a guy who speaks Natalie."
Yes, yes.
That's it,
And
right?
that's what I mean by like, that's why I created this dating roadmap. It's like you have to know who you are, not all the crap about who you are. You have to know your capacity. You have to know where am I energy that I can put into a relationship in truth, right? Like right now, as I am. If you want somebody to love you as you are, you have to know who you are. You can't sit there and
Yeah.
be like, okay, this is who I'm going to be when I'm done with this relationship, when I'm done with this book or course or whatever. It's like, who am I right now? And how do I find a framework within that I find the person who meets me where I am? I was so sick and tired of all these things that I don't know. Actually, what really was the catalyst was when I was dating and I knew all this stuff, like I said. I knew brain patterns, all that stuff. And I remember looking around and getting so frustrated and talking to my friends and crying. And different things that you say, and they're like, of course, it's gonna happen for you, it'll work out, But meanwhile, you're in this part where you're like, I actually am longing for this thing. And if it was any
Mm,
other thing than a man, our friends and family and everybody understands. If you're like, I'm really longing for a great job that's very rewarding, they'd have your back. I'm really looking for a new house that's really awesome and a container space and environment I want to live in. They'd have your back. When you say, I'm really looking for a man, well, why do you need that? Are you sure? Your job is great. You're so beautiful. It's going to happen. I'm like, no, I want this experience because I want this experience. Why am I allowed to ask for every other experience except for that? And
yeah.
so there was that frustration. Plus, I remember crying and going, I personally know women who are not great to their husbands.
Mm,
And this man is faithful, loving, kind. He shows up in a way that I would love to have that. And they're complaining about it. which is fine. That's their environment, that's their experience, whatever. It's not a judgment against her. It's a truth that here's a woman who's receiving everything I desire as an experience, and she didn't do any red flags, any studying, any fixing herself. He shows up for her the way she is. I wanted
Mm.
that. And that's what made me start going, okay, I'm literally getting rid of all this. I don't care about the psychology. I don't care about the inner flag. I don't care about the red flag. I don't care about any of that. And I literally inner chat, what done? What is a framework and how does she do this? And what's a framework based on, before we even get to any of that psychology, that's based on neuroscience and biochemistry of how a man will show up for me as I am and the
Mm.
capacity that I am. And yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so what you're describing a lot is, I mean, it sounds beautiful that you have the discernment, that you have the clarity of who you are and what you want, but doesn't this take away of that so-called chemistry, of the
No,
excitement?
it's so much better. Honestly, it's so much better. I'm not kidding. So, oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm not even kidding. I remember the time that so I went through the dating blueprint myself. Obviously, I made it, I lived it, right? And I can tell you it works. And I remember when I finally got to a romantic date with my love, and he finally kissed me. I literally went weak in the knees and he had to pick me up. I'm not exaggerating. I literally were in the parking lot after a beautiful, like 3 hour dinner at an Italian restaurant, and he very slowly leaned in. And I'm Aries, I'm like passionate, I'm big, and he is slow and steady. And he looked me in the eyes, and I looked at him and was like, are you gonna kiss me? Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And then I heard it, and I was like, I'm so rude. But I also was like, I don't care. I'm waiting for a man to love me as me. You know what I mean? And so like, okay, and he's 6'4" and I'm 5'3" on a good day. And so I'm like, okay, whew, and he looks at me in this very masculine energy while I'm sitting here sassy and fiery, and looked at me and went, I will when I'm ready. And I was like, hey. I remember, actually, I don't remember exactly what he said. It was something like, I'm going to when I get to it, or something like that, but this very like steady, like, you're not bullying me, you're not pushing me around. And then he leaned in slowly and kissed me so gently. I lost it, girl. I literally went weak in the knees. We just did Valentine's Day. I still go weak in the knees because in going through that whole dating roadmap, this man had to, for him to get from step to step to step in that roadmap, he had to prove to me in the way that I am, the capacity I am, the heart wounds I am, all that I am, that I can go and allow him to the next step, next step, next step, to open my heart. My heart never opened until I got through those steps. And he had to lead by showing up consistently in a way that I could trust
Hmm.
that he's going to be there after I open up, while I open up, when I fall down, when I lose my crap. That knowing was built because of the steadiness of that dating roadmap. It's
Mm.
going through those steps unlocked in me such a deep trust in challenging him. Are you going to keep showing up? Are you going, you know what I mean? Like the steps that are in there. I know that on the days where I'm losing my crap or I'm scared or I'm whatever, I have such safety in this container space of this relationship that the chemistry can't not be there because my nervous system, my body, my mind, my relationship with him is so safe. It's so
Mm.
held. And so all I want to do is play and giggle and laugh because I know that that's what's provided for, that's what's secure, that's what's welcomed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and at the same time, I'm glad that you mentioned that it was playful and giggly and so on, because at one point it sounded like a lot of work for me to go through that roadmap. I'm like, oh my God, another project.
Okay, so I will say this because I don't want to allude to everything that the roadmap is. It's like when you're selling a course, you're like, hey, if you want to know the how, come join me. And also the guiding with it, because they're going to have questions. You're going to have questions as you go through it, which is why I teach the roadmap in that container space where I'm guiding you. But it's the opposite of work. I will promise that. It's the exact opposite of work. You're already, without having to do a bunch of coursework on feminine energy, healing inner child, you are in feminine energy. You're the one sitting back and giggling and laughing and being able to analyze, was this fun? Was this not fun? Is this enough? Is this not? From this place of overflow. You're not
Mm-hmm.
the one performing for once. Like you're just
Yeah.
not. The beginning steps of this roadmap, the beginning steps are you showing up without opening your heart. You're not exhausting yourself at all. And you're just in conversations, and they're very specific conversations um, that are just the topic. You don't have to say those things, but it's just this topic, and you're the one stating that and seeing if he'll meet you there. If he will not meet you there, next. You're saving your energy. Next, next, next. You are not there to mom him. You are not there to fix him. That's his own crap. That's not yours. And the more that you stand in that, I'm saying no, the more one, you're catnip for men. Two, you're already healing all this stuff. And three, you are energetically aligned to accepting only better of what's
Mm-hmm.
available. You're setting the standard. That's feminine energy. But then these conversations, then it's coffee. Then the next one after that is a date that's challenging and there it's competitive. And there's a reason. The reason is because longevity wise for a relationship, it lasts based on playing and laughing and going through hard times together while you still have hope and trust and play and laugh, not based on chemistries with dates. Because that'll come and go. You know what I mean? That has an ebb and a flow. Even your sex drive has an ebb and a flow. But being able to play and laugh together in challenges, which is why it's a competitive date, you will learn so much on this date with this person. And so, what this competitive date is, and you will continue doing it in your marriage or your relationship, whatever it is. But this date is very purposeful because you will learn, and I'm not kidding. So for me, I use disc golf or air hockey. I love air hockey and I love disc golf. You can play disc golf like pretty much for free all over the country. And air hockey is really cheap. You can go places to play. But I school men in air hockey and disc golf. I can outthrow a lot of men. You know what I mean? So for me, it's really fun because when I was back when I was dating, they didn't know that I'm amazing at disc golf and they didn't know I'm great at air hockey. And so I show up and when I whoop their butt, I immediately see how much this man likes me shining or not.
Mm-hmm.
I immediately see how he handles pressure and losing.
Mm-hmm.
I immediately see if this man can laugh at himself. And
Mm-hmm.
if he wins, which is rare, but if he wins, I immediately see how he handles being able to be an authority over me or better than me at certain things.
Mm-hmm.
If he rubs it in my face or if he encourages me on. You learn so much in that of what you want, and you don't have to do any psychology crap. And so when we did that, though, by the way, side note, if he ever watches this, he schooled my butt in air hockey. And I was so mad. Like not mad, but I'm Aries, so I get feisty, but I laugh. I laugh at myself all the time. And so I was sitting there like I knew it. I knew I was gonna win. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna win. It's gonna happen, like let's go. And so we're sitting there playing air hockey. Again, 6'4", 5'3". He's like towering me on the other side of the table. And I still thought, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna win. Man, he whooped my butt. Like I think I scored like 1 to like 12 or something. Like I might have got 1 and he got 12. And I looked at him, I was like, oh my gosh. And I was biting my lip, literally trying to like hold back from like, and he was so good and so gracious. And he just looked at me with the most, I swear, I laughed so hard. He looked at me in a way that all I wanted to do was kiss him, but you don't kiss at that point, so I was not kissing. But all I wanted to do was kiss him because he was looking at me like this. Mm-hmm. Okay. Hi, girl. Like you just come melting
And
and
it's
you
also,
melt all
I
at the
also
same
love it
time.
that he didn't let you win. I also
No,
love
he
that.
didn't.
Yeah.
No. And that says so much because you just learn so much on that competitive date, that part of the whole dating roadmap. It's all fun. It all opens you up more and more and more if he shows up. You're never depleted, and it makes dating fun. It makes dating pleasurable. It makes it exciting because you get to be in this feminine energy of going, I wonder how he's going to show up. I wonder if he's going to do this. And you're
Mm,
learning that trust. Like, I'm trusting him to do this. Let's see if he does. And if he doesn't, next. You know, what's that, Ariana Grande? Next, you know, like you just have this lightness about you. And it really
mm.
is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wonderful, Jennifer. Where do we want to go from here? Did we leave anything out from our unplanned conversation? Shall we wrap it up for today?
Yeah, I think we're good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, is there one thing you want women to remember from this episode?
Dating and marriage and romance can be so fun.
Mm,
If there was nothing else I could say, take a picture of little you and look at her whenever you can. And imagine if you could give her this dream life in all things, not just romance. But if you could give her this dream life, how would you show up for her? What advice would you give her? What encouragement? What opportunities would you provide for her? And for most of us, that's the ability to be really held and loved and cherished and playing. And
mm,
that exists in romance. It does still today. And great men still exist and great relationships still exist. And remembering that hope of that. That's what I'd say.
mm.
Mhm.
Beautiful. And check out Hungry for More.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Jennifer.